You know, this text here from Luke chapter 15, as Eric said earlier, is one that a portion of it, anyway, we're familiar with, and that's the portion about the prodigal son. And we didn't read that portion. But as Jesus is gathered here with the tax collectors and the sinners, he's teaching them, sharing with them, and engaging a meal with them. And the Pharisees start to grumble that Jesus is sitting there with the tax collectors and the sinners. Now, I don't know about you, but I would appreciate it these days if Jesus was sitting with the tax collectors. Amen? With the bill I got after the tax cut or the tax law, I need Jesus sitting with the tax collectors and the sinners. Amen? But Jesus is there, and it's the Pharisees who begin to grumble with Jesus, and Jesus responds to them by telling them this lengthy parable. And this parable is different from many of the others that he told, because this one is told in three parts. There are three parts to this parable. The first part of the parable is about the lost sheep. The second part is about the lost coin. And the third is about the lost son or the lost father. Depends on the perspective in which you read that story. And so we want to caution you to just be careful not to pull those stories apart, because they build one upon the other. But all of them deal with this business of loss. But I think it also wants us to go a little deeper than that. For all of us share our common experiences of loss, right? Everybody in here has lost something? Someone along the way? Well, I think this teaches us quite a bit about loss, but I think it teaches us just as much about being lost ourselves. Talks about looking for something that's been lost, and it also teaches us something about being found, or our longing to be found. So I want us to kind of hold that in our minds as we look at this text and we think about it, because when we lose something, everything changes. Yes. No matter how small the loss may seem, no matter how great it may be, whenever we lose something, everything changes. You know, growing up in the house with my beloved mother, I love my mother dearly. I love you, Mama. But growing up in the house with her, she'd get up long before. That was for the camera. She watches the recording. So. Love you, Mama. Growing up in the house with her, 5:45, every single morning, Monday through Friday, like clockwork. We would be awakened to this question. This grand question every single. We didn't have an alarm clock, but at 5:45, Monday through Friday, every morning, this grand question: where are my keys? Have y'all seen my keys? Where are my keys? And we would get up, and here we go, dragging out of bed, dragging through the house, looking for the keys. Looking for the keys. Because, of course, she couldn't go to work until we found the keys. Where are my keys? Now, even as a 7, 8, 9-year-old, I'm checking this thing out. And I'm like, this doesn't make very much sense. She knows she's going to need those keys. She knows she's going to need those keys. So why does she put the keys by the door? Well, why does she put the keys in her purse? We lived in the country. She could have left the keys in the car. You know what I mean? Like, why are we doing this? I go to my grandparents' house. There's a hook by the door. You know what's on the hook by the door? Keys. Go to my auntie's house. There's a hook by the door. You know what's on the hook by the door? Keys. I go to my friend's home. There's a hook by the door. Lo and behold, guess what's on the hook by the door? Keys. We're at Walmart. We're going up and down the aisles. I see some hooks. I'm like, why don't we get some hooks? Shut up. We're getting no hooks. But at 5:45 in the morning, where are my keys? May seem insignificant to you, but it shaped me. And I feel some kind of way about it, even right now talking about it. Got some issues. I need to bring this up before my therapist. There's something about these keys. It's causing me some problems. Okay? It's causing me some problems. But I can understand that partially. I can understand wanting to have the keys and not knowing I mean, some of us have lost keys, we've lost money, we've lost jobs, we've lost loved ones, we've lost some of our health, some of our strength, some of our mental capacity, some of our independence. We've lost some things. Amen? Amen. And all around us there are signs that signify our uneasiness with losing things. And therefore there's this eagerness to find, to locate, to reconnect, or even to be found when we sense that we are the ones lost. I mean, this past week I was concerned about someone I hadn't seen for a while. And just out of joy, I went online and I found a template of a milk carton. Remember the milk cartons? Have you seen this child? I went and found one of those, and then I found a picture of the person that I stuck it on there, and I texted to him. And we had a good laugh about it. A good laugh about it. See, sometimes people want to know that they're missed. People want to know that you want to find them. Sometimes we want to be found. Amen? Amen. But all of us experience loss in different ways. And so let's look at this text here where Jesus is sitting with the sinners and the tax collectors and trying to teach and enjoy some time with them. And it was the Pharisees, the religious leaders, who grumbled and complained that Jesus was sitting and eating with the tax collectors and the sinners. Now, I need you to understand that the Pharisees and all of creation believed that the worst of the worst in society were the tax collectors. And they had decided who the sinners were. And Jesus is sitting there with the worst of with who they had decided. Now, not who Jesus has decided, but who they had decided was the worst of the worst. He's sitting there, eating with them, teaching them, engaging with them. And they complain about Jesus sitting with the very people that they say need help. See, some people find religion and lose a sense of what it means to care and what it means to reach out. And our boxes and our categories, our hierarchy of need and our categories of sin create so much separation that it separates good sense from bad. And our own logic loses something in its interpretation. I mean, churches do this, not this church, but other churches I've seen or heard of do this. I mean, they get so high and mighty. Y'all ever seen one of the high and mighty churches? So high and mighty that no one can ever rise to their standards, religiously, economically, critically, or otherwise. Can't rise to their standards. That happens. And that's kind of what's playing out in this text here, where Jesus is sitting with the tax collectors and the sinners, just eating, teaching. And then he tells this parable. And he tells this parable about the lost because it was the Pharisees who had decided that the tax collectors and the sinners were lost. Jesus hadn't decided that. And so he tells this parable. And so we want to use two parts of this parable to answer my mother's question, where are my keys? Because I think there are some keys to help us in dealing with our loss, dealing with the loss, with our loss, with looking and being found. Three things, three keys we want to look at. One is necessity. The second one is intensity. And the third one, anticipation. Three keys to dealing with loss. Necessity, intensity, and anticipation. So as we think about necessity, loss really is necessary. I mean, it's just how the world gets replenished. I know we don't like it. We don't like that people die. We don't like that, relationships sometimes end and people move on. Stuff just changes. We don't like it, but it's just part of the natural order of things. We're going to live a while, and then we're going to not live a while on this side of glory. Is that a nicer way of putting it? Dress that up. But in this story, Jesus tells about this shepherd with 100 sheep. And he says he leaves the 99 in the wilderness and he goes to find the one. And he does this out of necessity. One, it was his job to care for 100 sheep. It wasn't his job just to keep the 99 that was there, but it was his responsibility to care for 100. And so he does this out of necessity. And if you're going to leave the 99 to go for the one, there has to be an element of trust at play here. Great trust at play here. He has to trust that the 99 will do what the 99 know to do while he's away seeking the one. Okay. Different page. You didn't like that. Different page. But there's a key in that. And the key is he needs to be able to trust that the 99 will do what they're supposed to do while he goes to get that one. Because he needs that one as much as he needs the 99. And that's what we need to know. Because some of us think that being with the 99 is the place to be. And all too often, we think we are the 99. Amen? When in reality, we are the one who has wandered off in our own stinking thinking, in our own disease to please and all that other stuff that pulls us out of reality, and we have separated ourselves from where we ought to be. Because being the one of the 100 is what's important. It's not being one of the 99, but it's being one of the 100 and knowing that it doesn't matter which one I am, that I am important to the whole. That is important for us to hold on to. Because what you learn is that when things get rough and they swing out of control and they become overwhelming, and sometimes, in life we get sidetracked, we get beside ourselves, we take some detours and we try some shortcuts and we take some wrong turns, and sometimes when that happens to us, what we need to remember is that we are still one of the 100, and all we have to do is call on the name of the one who can save us and do as the songwriter said, and just hold on, help is on the way. So when we realize that even when we stray, even when we get beside ourselves, even when some folk have decided we're tax collectors or sinners and we don't deserve the presence or the word or the wherewithal of Jesus, that's not what matters. What matters is that he cares and that he is still looking for us, that he will come and find us. So just hold on, help is on the way. It's necessary for God that we be a part of the 100. And we all too quickly let go of that. We start telling ourselves that we don't matter. We start telling ourselves that we messed up. We start telling ourselves that there's no way we could ever be back in God's good graces. Beloved, God's grace covers a multitude of sin and fault. And nobody else gets to decide what that multitude is but God. God wants nothing more than to find you. And look at what Jesus says in this story. He says that he goes and he finds that sheep. He goes and he finds that sheep that says he puts it on his shoulder. And he brings it back. He doesn't hook it up to a leash like they were doing those kids in the airport, and all that stuff. They didn't. Oh, I'm not even going to go down that road. But he puts him on his shoulder. Do you know? Just get an image of that. He finds the lost one. Cradles it in his arms. And this part of the story, it tells about this woman who has these 10 coins, and one of them comes up missing. This woman had 10 coins. One of them came up missing. And we know from the language that Jesus uses here in telling this story that she was determined to find that coin. Now, we also know that this coin, this one coin that was missing, was equal to 10 days' wages. 10 days of where are my keys? Where are my keys? Where are, and I know the house I grew up in, if we went, my mama missed 10 days' wages. I don't know if we would have been in that house. Amen? Amen? I mean, if I call down the Chase right now, and they tell me I'm missing 10 days' worth, I mean, if I call down there and I'm missing $10 right now, but we talking 10 days, 10 days wages. Yes, you're going to light a light. Yes, you're going to sweep every inch of your dwelling place. But see, it's not the amount that's important. But it's how not having it will alter your plan. You might have to cancel a trip. You may have to miss some meals. You may lose your home. You put your family at risk. So yeah, the greater the need, the greater the intensity of the search. The greater the impact of the loss. The greater the need to be found. See, if you started with 100 pennies or 100 coins and you lost one, well, that may not seem that significant. Amen? Amen. But see, when you are suddenly departed with 10% of all that you have, that seems like a lot, doesn't it? I know, because you do that when you calculate time. Yeah, that was a setup. There was a stewardship sermon. But seriously, have you ever needed gas and all you had available to you was your ashtray fund? Y'all have an ashtray fund? All you had available was the ashtray fund? Have you ever been somewhere and there was a vending machine and you didn't have any change? Not these newfangled vending machines where you can swipe your card. Not those. Have you ever been in a position where you were down to that last 20? You know that bad money that you had folded down? You beyond mad, you downright upset, right? What left is that 20 and you're doing all you can do not to have to break that 20. Because you know something about when you break a 20, it just goes. It just goes. And why is it when you close to broke, you just be hungry? Oh, y'all don't get close to broke? Y'all don't get close to broke? Yeah. So about when you close to broke, you just be hungry. Oh, and on payday, you go and you shop and you load up and everything, get all this food, and then you sitting talking. Child, ain't nothing here to eat. Don't eat for 3-4 days because the house is just stocked full. But you get down close to broke, Stomach just rumbling. But the text says she lit a lamp and she swept the house. I mean, this was like, in the old day where you sat around and you waited for the mailman to bring that brown envelope. Y'all remember the brown envelope? Y'all remember the brown envelope? That government check that came in that brown envelope? Y'all been so sedated so long, we just recognize it. And you do pensions and all that just automatically show up. You didn't have to wait for your income tax return to come so you could act like you had something going on to go by. You knew this and you knew that, But I know y'all got school clothes, amen. I know you got school clothes and your Easter suit. I know you. It's sort of like waiting for those bursts to come, amen. She swept the house. She had to work to locate it. She was persistent. Her search was intense. See, because when we need and when we want something, or if we need or we want someone, I'll break it down for you. We intensify our efforts. What we need to know is that Jesus will intensify his efforts to find you, to locate you, and to celebrate you. Did you catch that in the text?
Yes.
When the shepherd found the sheep, he celebrated. Yes. He named celebration in heaven. When the woman found the coin, she called all of the girls. Oh, we're going to have a party. I hope it was BYOB because all she had was Dick Owens. But she had a party. Oh, y'all don't do BYOB? Oh, I got to get a church full of unsaved people. Lord have mercy. Oh, you church people get on my nerves. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to find me a church of unsaved people. Oh, the unsaved crowd is so much more fun and honest. But anyway. Third key is anticipation. Because in all parts of this story, in all parts of this parable that Jesus tells, part about the sheep, about the coin, and if you keep reading about the family, there's some anticipation that's happening for the lost, for those who are looking, and for that which is to be found. Because when you've lost something or you've lost someone, whether a parent, a spouse, a child, a friend, a business, a house, a favorite red sweater, cell phone, wallet, directions to the job interview, or even your desire to get out of bed. Because sometimes we lose that. When you've lost something or someone and you strike out to find it, to replace it, to reclaim it, there's anticipation in it. Because if you didn't anticipate anything, you wouldn't be looking. Apathy would be, complacency would be, oh well. Anticipation says, let me find what I'm looking for. Let me find what I need. And let me find it right quick. And in a hurry, because that anticipation invokes some bliss, some joy, and happiness that nothing else in our hearts or minds can replace. We anticipate being made whole when we find what it is that we're looking for. We anticipate healing and restoration when we find what we've been looking for. We anticipate recognition and righteousness, joy and peace and salvation when we find what we've been looking for. We anticipate belonging, fulfillment, and forgiveness when we find what we've been looking for, and even when we've been found. So whether we're talking about something that's been lost, we're talking about the activity of looking for something that's lost, or we're sitting in our truth and naming that we are that which or that who is to be found. May we remember remember these three keys, that there's a necessity to have and to be held by one who loves us. There's an intensity to look or to be seen by one who knows us. And there's an anticipation to resolve or to be received by the one who created us. And for that to be manifest in our hearts and our lives without judgment, but to just come to us out of sheer grace because we need it. I don't know about you, but I get lost sometimes. I feel lost sometimes. Sometimes I lose my way. Sometimes things don't go the way I want them to go. Relationships don't play out the way I think they ought to play out. Decisions just, they just, dominoes get to falling and whoo. But what this text reminds us of is that Jesus is in the midst of all that. Amen. And beloved, if he was willing to put it all on the line, to sit with the tax collectors and the sinners, then surely, he'll put it all on the line. And he'll sit as long as he needs to sit with me. Then surely, he'll look as long as he needs to look for me. And when he finds me, when he finds you, it's going to raise you up and hold tightly to you and celebrate. Celebrate. He's going to